Welcome to the Group Dentistry Now Show, the voice of the DSO industry. Kim Larson and Bill Neumann talk to industry leaders about their challenges, successes, and the future of group dentistry. Visit groupdentistrynow.com for more DSO analysis, news, and events. Looking for a job or have a job to fill? Visit joindso.com. We hope you enjoy today's show.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Group Dentistry Now Show. I'm Bill Neumann, and always have some interesting guests here, and had some time to back when you were able to spend time in person with people, with each of these individuals. So I knew Barry when he was at Chase Health Advance, and I met Bruce has been at DenMat longer than anybody, I think over 30 years. So I met Bruce when he was at DenMat, and still is at DenMat. And Donald Boyd when he was at Plan Mecca, I think, initially. So we have Bruce Tuck, Donald Boyd, and Barry Trexler from all currently with DenMat, and they're going to be there for the rest of their careers. So welcome, gentlemen, to the Group Dentistry Now Show.
Thank you, Bill.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
So give you a little bit of background on each of the individuals, some bios, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So start with Barry Trexler, who is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at DenMat. And Barry started his dental industry career on the practice management side of the business and started at Care Credit, GE Capital, as a sales leader there. He went on to run the Chase Health Advance patient financing solution for Chase. That's where I met Barry. In his role there, Barry built a $400 million business. Is that right? Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
Good. All right, because I saw 400 million and I was like, really? Was that big? It's big.
Yes.
So almost a $500 million business there, supporting the special market segment of dentistry. And then in 2018, he actually moved over to the product, the material side of dentistry, and started with DenMat. Barry has over 15 years working with DSOs and emerging dental groups, and really specifically designing custom solutions that work and facilitate strong partnerships. So again, welcome, Barry.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Bruce, and he is the Senior Manager of Business Development for Special Markets. And like I alluded to, Bruce has been at DenMat for over 30 years. I was out at DenMat about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and had the opportunity to see Bruce there at DenMat's location, just corporate headquarters, just above Santa Barbara in Lompoc, California, beautiful part of the country. Throughout his career at DenMat, Bruce has filled multiple roles in all aspects and channels of the business. His involvement in groups began in 1997, so they weren't called DSOs then. DSO did not exist then. It was dental group practice or group practice. In the last 10 years, dedicated solely to the DSO space, the larger groups. Bruce has built partnerships with most major DSOs and numerous DSO startups, small and mid-sized groups. As DenMat's forte is the ability to help DSOs drive revenue, not just save on products, Bruce is adept at building customized partnerships that include hygiene, aesthetic, laser, and restorative CE programs that result in significant revenue growth for a DSO. Yeah. So good to see you again, Bruce.
Good to see you.
And last but not least, we have Donald Boyd. He's the youngin at DenMat. He started pre-pandemic, right? February of 2020, correct, just before everything changed. And he is a Senior Manager Business Development for Special Markets as well. So interestingly enough, Donald started his dental career at the University of Florida Dental School store. So probably a great opportunity really to understand materials and dental products and also equipment as well. So when Donald graduated, he really was able to leverage that time at the dental school store to launch his career in dental supplies and equipment. And so he also has 30 years in the industry. He has spent the last 5 years in the DSO space, helping DSO industry leaders with solutions that create best practices and also efficiencies in emerging dental groups and DSOs. He's worked for companies that we all know, Noble Biocare, Plan Mecca, and Henry Schein, and again started at DenMat in February of 2020. So certainly an interesting ride for you, Donald, at DenMat. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thanks.
let's start, since Bruce is the elder statesman there, sorry, Bruce, at DenMat.
Very kind way of saying I'm old.
That you've been there a long time. Tell us a little bit of the history with DenMat, and also not just the history of DenMat, but also let's talk about your experience there as you started to see the growth of and the consolidation in the industry with dental group practices and now DSOs.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I got out of the military after 8 years in the Air Force and having a tough time finding work on the Central Coast. There wasn't much options there, and somebody told me about a phone position at a dental company, and I'm like, dental? And long story short, I ended up coming on board to tie me over for a few months. It's been 30 years. At that time, not too many people were doing white fillings, very rare. So it was the first I'd ever heard of a white filling. Of course, they didn't wear gloves back then. And so the company, I came in 1989, and the company had been started in 1974 by our founder, Dr. Ibsen. He authored the first textbook on adhesive dentistry, and our company really was focused on aesthetic and restorative composites. At the time, not too many people did composites, so we did a lot of porcelain lays and onlays. He started a lab that's back then was known as the Serenate Lab to focus on aesthetic restorations like ceramic crowns, inlays, onlays, and veneers, which expanded over the years. And then most of us knew us for our Rembrandt whitening, which we did the take-home light, and we were launched in the early 90s. And then we went to the Lumineers, first really impactful direct consumer manufacturing company that came about and did well. And then Dr. Ibsen sold the company in 2006 to DLJ, which is arm of Credit Suisse, then eventually was purchased by Center Partners, who currently owns us now. After that happened, we have our COO, Bobby Cartagena, who came over from Discus, was one of the folks, and Bobby, and Steve Semmelmeyer. They all came over with Center Partners and acquired DenMat in November of 2011. And they had Bobby had spent his career over at Discus, and because they sold Discus to Philips, they knew that all Philips really wanted was the whitening. So we turned around and acquired all the Discus line back, which is how we got the Discus products like the Splash and the Perfect Temp and things like that. Subsequent to that, we've made a few other acquisitions: Perioptics, the Loop Company, Xyla, that we acquired the Xyla lines, which is the Rotodent, the Atrodox, the Oral Meds, and then the Hartzell line. And so with those acquisitions, there was changes through the company. And as far as how we tied into the DSOs, it's a little bit of background on the company, how we tied in the DSOs. I know that we've played with the groups before they were quote unquote groups, as you said, the term DSO and DGPA or AADGP, I can't remember what it was to start with. But DenMat had worked with some of those. And since I've been there 30 years, I came with the company in 89. I'll give you a little background of some of the things that we've done with some of the DSOs. I remember when I first started out in the field, I worked with a dentist named Steve Thorne, who had 4 offices up in the desert, and that was prior to PDS being started. And I remember when met Steve Thorne's first partner, and she was an associate at the time, Dr. Ghazal, out in the desert. And so back then we started with working with PDS, and so that relationship went a long time, still retains today. My experience also was with SBI before they were Smile Brands. There was Newport Right Now Dental. Down here in Southern California, there was Monarch and Castle. We'd worked with all those. Actually worked with Beecham Dental, which at that time eventually became Western Dental, and then Midwest Dental, which was Dr. Healy. But we had started all those relationships way back then. And then, of course, there was when we made the acquisition, some of the acquisitions expanded to partnerships that we have. The Heartland, if you go back to the Discus history, and Bobby, who I mentioned previously, actually helped develop their aesthetic continuum back in the day when they were young. And to this day continues the partnership with them. Coast, Mortensen, all of them, we partnered with them in lasers. Great Expressions has been one. And so we've had several of the relationships that go on. Aspen, we expanded significantly under the acquisition of Xyla. So we really have a long history going back with the DSOs. And not only did we start them long ago, we also have maintained them since. We have a relationship with them. Not everybody's all in with DenMat, which is what helps us adapt and be part of every group. We help a little bit here, a little bit there, but we have established long partnerships with all of them. And that's the, I guess, depending on your terminology, the elites or the major DSOs, but there's many others. I'm just trying to give examples of how far back we go. To your point earlier, before they were actually even called groups. So yeah, early on we started with restorative process, the impressions, and so we've run the whole gamut of the programs, and it's been a long and exciting and fun and fulfilling venture for me personally, to being part of DenMat and the different things that we've done.
Bruce, you've really seen the growth of these national DSOs as they started from being, small with it, and now there are these emerging groups. So whether you want to call them regional DSOs or even smaller, that seem to be sprouting up. A lot of them are clinician owned and led. Definitely the industry is consolidating quite a bit. But yeah, to your point, it used to be the DGPA, which is the Dental Group Practice Association, and then somebody came up with the term DSO. Then all of a sudden it was the ADSO, the Association of Dental Support Organizations. So a lot of change just recently, and you've seen quite a bit of it. Barry, I'd like to kind of have you take this next question. Let's talk a little bit about the uniqueness of DenMat and why DenMat from in perspective of a group. Why would they want to work with DenMat? Why are all these elites, these national DSOs, continuing on their relationships as they scale?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. What I would say is, as Bruce mentioned, DenMat has had a long history of working with groups and DSOs. As he mentioned, we work with dozens of DSOs, groups, and even GPOs across US and Canada. And one thing that may not be known or may be known is that, but I think definitely worth mentioning, is that we distribute our products in over 100 countries across the world. And the reason why I mention that, because if you combine all of that experience, it gives us a unique position to service groups today. We can meet the product and service needs, demands of large organizations. And we have a solid track record of doing this over the time period that Bruce mentioned. One of the things I'd like to mention is that over this time and recently, certainly over the last 2 years, we have built a platform of innovation, what I call innovation and advocacy. So innovation in terms of the products and services that we're offering in the special market space, and the advocacy that those products and services bring to the practices as well as their patients. We really think through, as we're thinking about products, what really the end user needs, and how we can help a group or a DSO meet that end user need. So if you think about innovation and advocacy, there's really 3 pillars that we focus on, which is around our products, our services, which is going to include our lab as well as our continuing education platform, and our customer service. We have an excellent customer service support group here to support groups and the special market segment of dentistry. One thing I'll double click on is the innovation piece. In 2019 and 2020 were both very innovative years for DenMat. In 2019, we launched over 100, not 100 products, but rather 10, and including our Perio Restore, which is our oral gel and tray system, which provides a significant revenue enhancement to a group's hygiene area of dentistry. We also, and I want to point out, we've all lived through the recent shutdown relative to COVID. And during that period, we pivoted, and again, being innovative, having our manufacturing here all in the USA, we were able to pivot to provide an infection control line. And during that period, we spent a lot of time helping our group partners bring an infection control line to market. If you remember, at that time, there was a scramble to find sanitizer. And we were able to provide that to the market. And today we've expanded that line to include an oral rinse, 1.5% hydrogen peroxide, as well as a surface cleaner. And soon we will launch a unique face shield, created by one of our dentist partners. And it's going to be unique, and that's going to be our entry into PPE. And another couple of other products, just to mention that on the innovative side, at midwinter, right before we all shut down and tried to figure out navigate our way through this COVID situation, we had launched our Ortho Clear, which is our clear aligner, to the market. Now, what's unique about it, it's we specifically designed the product and the price point to help groups compete with some of the direct consumer offerings in the space. And that's what's really unique about it. It's affordable and it's very effective as a clear aligner. And then soon we're going to launch Zen CP Plus, which is a topical oral gel. And it's unique to the market again because it has this innovative microsphere technology that is only available through DenMat. And we'll soon launch that to the market just really in a couple of weeks here. Another thing I'd like to touch on, Bill, is the solution part or services part of what makes us unique. We have our lab right here in California. We do not outsource any of our products or services here in our lab. And one thing that may not be known is our lab, if it was a standalone lab, we would probably be one of the top 5 labs in the country. And that's based on the units that we process and fabricate in our lab here. And again, everything's made in California. We do not outsource anything in the lab. And we continue to add new products and services to our lab to service our broad customer base as well as our group partners. And then the other two things I'd like to point out is that makes us unique is if you think about the history, 1974, this is our 46th year in dentistry. We have spent a lot of time building our continuing education platform. This was a passion of our founder to be able to pass on that knowledge to dentists. And we've been building that platform over the years, and we've accelerated invested in it over the last 2 years. Pre-COVID, we were putting on over 50 live events a year, and we're navigating through that now, but we also have an amazing webinar platform where we can provide continuing education credits as well. And then finally, on the service side, we have well known in the group space, but we do have some groups that engage in our Smile Discovery program. This is a unique program that actually provides leads to the practices that engage in the program. And it has a unique case conversion tool, which is our automated smile design, which we call Lumi Smile. And you can do that process right from your iPhone or iPad and be able to share it with your patient, and then they can share it with friends and family, and it aids in the case conversion. So I guess in summary, as you heard Bruce talk about the long history of DenMat, the impact DenMat's had on dentistry, our involvement with the groups from really the ground floor, and recent innovations and product expansion. We've demonstrated 3 things in my view: innovation around those products and services we talked about, the agility, if you think about how we pivoted to meet demand and during the pandemic and when everybody was shut down to meet demand for sanitizer and oral rinse. And finally, we are very responsive to the needs of our practices and the groups that we work with.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I was really surprised when I went out to your facility is that, the manufacturing is actually done there. You have a lab. There's so many layers to DenMat, and I think it's a great thing, but it's also probably one of your challenges is to really communicate everything it is that DenMat does. and and the fact that it is all done in California. Everything that you do and sell for the most part is you make it, and to have the lab there is certainly a testament to continuing that tradition of American manufacturing and employing Americans. So great stuff, but certainly a challenge to get that message out. And you're adding more products, 10 this year.
10 in 2019, and actually if you look at our infection control line as an added product line, we're on track to add about 10 this year as well. In 2020, we got a few more to do before the end of the year. We're very busy.
There you go. All right, Donald. So being newer to the organization, let's talk a little bit about innovations that you've seen in the past year. What can you tell us?
Well, Bill, what led me to come to DenMat was the innovation itself. Just the fact that they have their own manufacturing, they have their own marketing team. Everything is right there in California. It really excited me to become part of this team because I think it gives us flexibility and it makes us more fluid to be able to work with the DSOs in the industry. We know that the DSOs are looking for scalability. They're looking for flexibility. They're looking to be innovative. And I think that DenMat has a deep history of developing innovative dental products, as well as we understand what the special needs are for these DSOs in the market. And so we can customize those specific needs required by DSOs, from product delivery, packaging, marketing materials, customized education, training. In addition, we know with the post-COVID and everything that's going on, a lot of things are becoming WebEx based. So we need to develop WebEx education and make that available to our DSOs in the market. We pride ourselves in developing new innovative products and services that drive incremental revenue opportunities. So, for example, we know that many patients are missing hygiene appointments today with COVID. And many DSOs are looking for new revenue streams. Our Perio Restore, a hydrogen peroxide oral gel, is an innovative product applied with a special custom tray system. Perio Restore is an excellent home treatment to help those patients we know that are coming in with bleeding gums, gingivitis. And the big benefit for the DSO is a new revenue stream for the office. So we know just an average of 10 cases a month can add $80,000 in incremental revenue per year per office to the bottom line. So these are some innovations that I think that can help DSOs with the revenue streams that they're looking for and the opportunity to bring in new patients, and also, right now to serve those patients that are in need.
Yeah, that's certainly important as practices open back up, and maybe there's an issue with patients coming back, and it's really looking to add those revenue streams, expand that. So good stuff. Tell me a little bit about the lab. So that's something again that I think a lot of DSOs, emerging dental groups, don't realize that DenMat has. So Donald, tell me a little bit about what you see there with the lab and the benefit to DSOs.
Well, I think, Bill, that's a big benefit for us. It's a significant advantage over the market when we have our own dental lab, so we can actually talk about our products we manufacture, as well as serving the DSOs with lab aspects as well. It also goes hand in hand with the things that are going in the industry right now, where we're seeing DSOs moving into digital scanners and to cone beams. And our DenMat lab is fully digital. So we accept all digital scans through our portal. And for example, you can marry our Ortho Clear aligner with our lab services. So we position that product to be an alternative to Invisalign. And Ortho Clear is an excellent product to help combat those direct-to-consumer clear aligners. So it's something to have a product to have in your back pocket. We don't want those patients. We give them a treatment plan and then they walk out. Maybe we give them a second option, and Ortho Clear is a perfect product to fill that void where you don't have something in addition to Invisalign. In addition, DenMat was started by our founder, Dr. Robert Ibsen, in the 80s to focus on all ceramic restorations. And we are one of the top 5 largest dental labs in the country. So we pride ourselves with providing affordable, high-end aesthetic restorations right here in California. We are not going to be the $50 crown ever. And we know that there is a segment of dentists in the DSO space that want affordable, high-end aesthetic crowns. So we want to be able to service and provide those dentists in the DSO space an opportunity to have a reasonable aesthetic option here at DenMat Lab. So this gives us an opportunity really to service both the manufacturing end, the product end, as well as the lab end to the DSO market.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, those are all good points. Real good point on the Ortho Clear and making sure that patients actually follow the treatment plan that they've been given. So you don't want anybody walking out the door and not taking advantage of the treatment planning that's in office versus going somewhere else and possibly having something done with another provider or maybe a direct to consumer solution. So yeah.
Bill,
Hey, Bill,
if I might interject, you brought up a good point right there on the, I think Barry was about to say the same thing I was, is
yes, we're both jumping on it.
We're not looking to be, yeah, we just want to be clear. We're not looking to be Invisalign. What we're actually, it's a very affordable clear aligner, simple cases. And what we're trying to do is allow a DSO to compete with the direct consumer specifically. That's who we're targeting to go after. And when it comes to the aesthetic, high-end, every DSO has a segment of their doctors, they're 1 or 2% that want to use a really high-end lab, but yet is affordable. So that's kind of what we're targeting for. We know we're not going to be competitive on the crown and bridge space, but I did want to reiterate those two things. And Barry, I'm not sure if you have a couple more things you want to throw in there as far as the aligners being specifically to allow DSO to compete with the direct-to-consumer, not the Invisaligns or all the other clear aligners that are out there.
Well, and you hit on a lot of what I was thinking, Bruce, but I had another one to add. And if we go back to the agility of DenMat, Bill, I want to talk and tie in the Perio Restore product. We actually got into that business because a group partner needed a solution. And they came to us and asked if we could do this. We were not in that space at that time. And we, again, here we have a customer that needed a solution, a large scale solution. I think that's important to point out about our lab. And we were able to, once again, pivot, provide a solution. It has worked very well for the customer. In 2019, we did over 30,000 cases, and that was the same year that we launched with them. So again, not only the innovation, but the agility and the ability to customize a solution for our customer.
And Barry, we actually even do that with the clear aligners, different programs, one fee for everything. We customize any program, whether it's a lab procedure or product tailored to that group. We can modify anything that we have. It's not, these are the 3 options, take it or leave it.
So Bruce, this next one's for you. So reading your bio, a lot in there about education and continuing education in particular. And one of the most important things for groups, whether their providers are using a new product or service, how do you onboard them, but just in general, educating, a vast group of providers in different locations, possibly in different states, can be a real challenge. So a lot of these groups, whether they're large groups or whether they're emerging groups, really lean on manufacturer partners to help educate. So let's talk a little bit about what you've put together, Bruce.
So yeah, the core of our company, since our founder, Dr. Ibsen, I remember when I first went through training, I went into the room and he was in there, and on the board it said, I see and I forget, I hear and I remember, I do and I understand. And so we've built these courses to be, he found that to get us a dentist to change behavior, because we know they're all creatures of habit, actually probably more so than the average person. So they want evidence-based research, and then they want clinical competence, right? So all of our courses are actual hands-on, not just lecture or anything like that. We have 1-day programs, 2-day programs. We can condense a 2-day program into one, and they've been a huge part of our company and what helps us be successful. Once you do these courses, you don't know what they're going to roll into. It's always fun to see people come and learn. I was talking about long-term relationships in the DSO space. I remember back in 2004 when we launched Lumineers direct to consumer. There was a young dentist there with his wife, came to our live placement course with our founder at our corporate office, and he was from Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, which was Dr. Mata, North American Dental Group. And so then you just didn't know, where it's been a fun run. And so doing these courses in the groups over the years, typically groups don't like to be out long periods of time. So we have a couple of things that we've done. We have laser courses, which we've rolled out, and we have composite courses. We have veneer courses. We have hygiene courses. And again, like I said, we have 1, 2, 3-day courses. So what we typically do to work with the DSO, when we talk about the major DSOs, when we've had relationships as long as we have had with them, they know us, we know them, they know what we have, they know what we can do, right? So it is what it is. And unless we develop something new, we go to them. Where we really are beneficial are to the small and up and coming groups. That's where we really help a lot. Trying to get systems in place. The group space is doing a really good job letting know the up and comers. You got to have systems in place, right? So important. Everything's about systems. So our programs are systematic. And so where we're beneficial to them is like most hygiene departments aren't all on the same page. So we have a 1-day soft tissue management program. And it includes everything from LBR to LAAs to SR. I mean, it's the whole gamut of hygiene. We have 2-day veneer courses. So typically the way we do it is we'll have some of the clinical directors come and attend our course as our guest, give them the program, let them look through it. And then what we do is at the end of the program, if it's something they decide that fits for their group and wants to roll it out, then we set out a training and a rollout program. They'll sit down, let's say, for example, in our hygiene course, we teach lesion detection with lesion devices. We teach LBR, we laser with lasers. And they may say, you know what, we're not going to incorporate lasers right now, but we like the course, so let's do this. Let's expand on this. The huge piece is the patient communication, effective patient communication, getting the patient to say yes, right? So everybody wants that piece, and we do a great job of that. So some will want us to expand on that part. For example, our 1-day hygiene course, when we do it in the private practice, it's a 1 fee for the whole office because we want the front, the back, and the doctor, all hygiene, all on the same page. So we'll tailor it as they want that way. Those we've done in many groups, and it's not uncommon for take our partnership, our training decks that we put together for them, and they'll go off and do their thing a few years later. It's fine with us as long as we have that partnership as we go. The veneer courses, those are a little bit tougher because there's a mindset with the dentist that it's so hard. But when they get a hold of it, thought that we can do a veneer case prep to finish in 2 hours. The thing about the veneers, when they really catch it, is the fee they collect with a crown is the same as a veneer, right? And someone say, well, they'll just do a crown. Okay, it's easier, it's covered by insurance. But with crowns, they're doing 1s and 2s. Veneers, they're doing 8s and 10s. And so, but again, it's a thing where they get a little bit sketchy about it. So we have hand pieces, cases that they do in the courses. So the hard part of a DSO is the downtime. So we'll take that 2-day course and condense it to 1. We had one group that we rolled out the veneers on. We did all their courses on Sundays. We rolled out a hygiene program. They wanted them all Sundays. We had one group we did the hygiene program for, and the owner doctor, about 10 or 15 offices, wanted to do it on Monday because he felt like if we did it on Friday or Saturday, they're going to forget it by Monday. So let's do it Monday so they go on Tuesday. So we'll accommodate just about anything at all and modify all the programs that we have. And we've been successful in all of them at varying degrees, but the most beneficial, the groups that benefit the most are the probably doctor-owned, doctor-run. They're a little bit easier as far as for them to adjust schedule and timing. But we've done as many as with groups of 50. Well, if you look at what Barry was talking about, the one group we did, 200, 400 offices. So we can adapt the program. If they don't have a program, we'll build one for them. If they have one, we can tweak ours to fit into theirs. It's whatever's going to work.
So I think that's one thing that Donald touched on about the agility of DenMat and the flexibility. Let's Barry, do you want to touch a little bit more on the customization that you all do, whether, even beyond the continuing education, what for DSOs in particular, what's DenMat doing for different size groups, and let's talk about that agility.
Yeah, I mean, we recognize the different needs across the different sizes of the groups. And one of the things we do well is just understand what is important to them. What are they trying to accomplish? Whether it is to get some more education for their doctors, whether they're trying to implement a clear aligner solution, whether they're trying to add some additional revenue to their hygiene area. We actually listen and really lean into what they're trying to accomplish. The fortunate thing about us is we're very agile. We have a team, whether it's the BD team that's here today, plus our operations team, our lab team, our continuing education team, that we are just mentally wired, if you will, to respond quickly to a need and offer a customized solution. And I really think that is one of our strengths, and we demonstrate it time and time again. Since I've been here, and Bruce been here a lot longer than I have, there hasn't been a time where we have not been able to respond to a solution. One other example I'll give you, we had a group come to us that is opening up these unique hygiene centers, and they were looking for some customized gel and toothpaste to be able to provide a very unique consumer experience in these hygiene centers. And within probably, Bruce, 8 months, we were able, working with them on the formulation and what they needed in terms of packaging and as well as delivery. We were able to launch that with them. In fact, we just delivered that, I think it was last month. So, though I can go through numerous examples where we've been able to respond to the need, and we just love being that responsive. It provides a lot of energy among all of us, because we just want to provide that unique solution, and we have those capabilities to provide it.
Excellent.
And Bill, I think if you talked with anybody over the years that's dealt with DenMat, myself, Barry, or whatever, it's typically when we meet with a group, they'll tell you we're not coming in pitching stuff. It's the first thing we're coming in with is questions like, what do you need help with? What do you want to hear about? What do you don't want to hear about? And because we make everything where we're at, from scratch to creating a product to somebody, anything like that, it makes for a great relationship, and it makes for a lot of fun to do. And so when they sit down with us, they generally have an idea where they want to go with it, and we're going to focus on that. We're not going to jam a square peg into a round hole or anything like that. It's actually, I think, and Barry can speak for himself, but it is a lot of fun and it's a lot of excitement when we get to create something new specifically for a specific group, which we've done quite a bit of that. And that's when it's fun.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's just amazing talking about creating a custom paste for a DSO or there are very few manufacturers out there that I think would do that because of the time and the effort to create something. And so really interesting. So last question, and unfortunately, it's one of the more important questions for DSOs and groups. Let's talk about competitiveness when it comes to pricing in the group space. So maybe we'll let Bruce start with that one, and Barry can finish it up.
Yeah, that's always this thing, right? It's like almost it's a tight thing. And so, but we're used to it. It's having been with it a long time. And fortunately, we were in a lot of these places early on. And so DenMat, I'll tell you right up front, we are not the people in the market by any stretch, right? We are always been perceived as a premium brand. We believe we're a premium brand. Most people know us as a premium brand. The reason the DSOs like it is that as they narrow down their formularies, and the hard part is to, at some point, you want to keep the doctor happy, but yet there's the dollars and pennies you got to look at. And so I think the main reason most of the major DSOs have us on board in some form, our biggest thing across the board is our impression material and then our oral hygiene products. I think the biggest reason is because they can provide their doctors a premium brand at almost off-label prices. We're not the cheapest, but we get pretty darn close when there's the volume involved and the trade-off that they get. We're pretty hard to beat. Outside of some off-label brands, I'd say that we're probably one of the most affordable impression materials out there. Certainly, if you tag on the fact it's a premium brand. So we get in there in different areas, and maybe one SKU works for them, or stuff like our restorative materials, like our core paste and Jerry Stored. Because we make it all here, right here in California, I mean, we can do it fairly inexpensively and be incredibly competitive on some of those products.
Yeah, what I would add, Bill, is that our group business keeps growing, which tells you that pricing is not a barrier. I do echo Bruce's comments about we may not be always the cheapest, but if you look at our vast portfolio, there's two elements that makes us very competitive. One, we can price and respond to price very quickly. We're all here, so that makes it a lot and quickly. But there's two areas that provides some opportunity for DenMat to meet that pricing ask. One is we have a vast portfolio, and that's what Bruce was talking about. If we can't meet a specific SKU over here, more than likely we're going to find something that's going to provide benefit and additional savings for that group. The other piece that we have to talk about is the ability to service and the ability to respond, because especially if you're dealing with a low cost provider, you may, especially in this environment, you may have some supply chain challenges, and that's something that we do not have. If you're working with a lab, I mean, you need to consider the remakes and the service levels of the lab. All of that adds additional cost to a solution. So that's another element, dimension, if you will, that we can provide and really wrap up a nice package to respond to a customer's request around pricing. I'm very confident that we can provide a pricing solution for any customer. We haven't really had that challenge where pricing has been the biggest barrier. We typically work through those opportunities and deliver.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly one of those things. I mean, you take a look at the value proposition, it seems to me that, your price is certainly important, but you want to make sure your providers are happy with the products, right? That they're comfortable with them, that they're product that they want to use, that they don't feel like they're being given a subpar product. So if you can get that great marriage of competitive pricing, products that they've used in dental school or feel comfortable with, or a higher end lab where you don't have to deal with the retakes, and then put on top of that really the customer service aspect, the agility that you all have, and the education piece, right? It's the training. It's like, okay, pricing's right, it's a great product, but how do I use it? That hands-on element and that training, you guys kind of really put the whole package together. So listen, guys, I really appreciate the time. This is good stuff. Thank you, Bruce. Donald and Barry from DenMat for being a part of the Group Dentistry Now show. It's been a lot of fun, educational experience, and I hope to see everybody live again soon at some point.
Absolutely.
So
well, thank you very much, Bill.
Yep. Thank you.
Bill.
Until
Great.
next time.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thanks, Bruce. Until next time,
Right.
I'm Bill Neumann from Group Dentistry Now.
The Group Dentistry Now show has listeners across North and South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. If you like our show, subscribe today and please tell your colleagues about us.